So, are we there yet? What? Another 15 minutes? Just to get to the... We're in the desert, dude. Just step on the fucking gas.
Almost there.
Can you, like, turn on the radio or something? No? Okay. What about speeding up? We're only in the middle of the desert. I mean, you could step in the gas and nobody would judge you. I don't even think there's cops out here. What are you gonna do? Get arrested by a kangaroo or something? If you're not gonna speed it up, can you at least, like, fast forward to the point where the video starts? Now, if you would have told me there's a brand new survival craft game in early access and that I really had to try it, I would have laughed at you, right in your face. There is nothing in that sentence that really piques my interest as a player. But when you continue and tell me that the game is heavily inspired by Half-Life 1, the world is not procedurally generated, and there is an expansive story tied to the game itself, now you have me listening. So, I got into Abiotic Factor months ago when my editor pinged me on Discord and told me about the open beta. I played the game with him for a good bit. We really did enjoy the game itself. It was a lot of fun, especially with just the little amount of game that we had at that point. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago where my girlfriend then pings me and says, hey, this game looks pretty good. And when I open it, it is again Abiotic Factor. I can't get away from this game. After a little bit, I cave, I get the game. Now let me say that this game has exceeded every expectation I had for it since the very beginning. Something that I did not notice while playing the open beta, but noticed it very much so while playing the game now, is that almost from the very first frame that you start playing this game, it starts establishing its world. Almost to the extent that I've never seen another game do. As soon as the second door and the second button that you push in this game, you start an elevator sequence. That elevator sequence is heavily reminiscent of the tram ride at the very beginning of the original Half-Life. You get to have the entire size and scope of this game just displayed to you extremely early without any kind of hesitation. They show you things like the armory, the office sector, even the manufacturing wing before you even step foot into the actual tutorial itself. This tells me, as a gamer, that I am dealing with people that had a huge love and passion for the games that they are heavily inspired by. Directly after the tutorial, you enter an elevator. In this elevator ride, the facility itself tells you that you are no longer going to the residential sector and you are being rerouted to Office 1. What I did not expect is that directly after this ride in the elevator through the tutorial, you are put directly to the main menu. In the main menu, you are still in the elevator. Your character is just sitting in the elevator, going to Office. It's amazing. After that, you start to begin your own little world. With this, you get to pick a name, a password, and however many people you'd like to play with throughout the game. You can also do things such as modify certain settings in the sandbox to make the game a little more challenging or a little bit more easier. This is only recommended for advanced players. You can certainly break your world just by tampering with these settings. After that, you get a very nice warning saying that your character saves are a world-to-world basis, meaning that your appearance will never change unless you change it, but your stats will always be different due to the world that you're in. They do give you a list of jobs that you can pick through. Every job has a suggested role and a playstyle that they recommend you to go for. It also gives you benefits to certain skills and traits out of the gate that you don't have to worry about as much. After that, it is straight into character traits, and character traits are determined by a point system. This point system is extremely simple to understand. You do not need wrinkly brain meat to be able to understand what you are looking at. Depending as to what job you picked, you have a set amount of points left over. You can use those points to acquire positive traits. These have a wide range of uses. They have things like a fanny pack for extra slots on your hotbar, making your character not really worried if the water is dirty or not. It is a very unique way to customize your character to your specific standards. But let's say you spent all of your points and you wanted some more positive traits. Well, now you get to move to the negative traits, and now you can gain points back by making your life just a little bit harder. Let's say you're a masochist, just like my editor, and you wanted to go with fear of violence, meaning that you can't level up any offensive skills above level 5 for the entire duration of your playthrough. There are other negative traits that aren't really that bad. On every single run that I seem to do, I always seem to go for hemiophilia, which causes your character to bleed more if you take damage. This does not seem to work in my opinion. I don't know what the percentage is because it's been a while, but I never notice an excess of bleeding with my characters. Maybe I'm just that good at the game. Maybe it doesn't work. I don't know. Devs, let me know. Now you're in the game. Look at this. I can see you. You're right on the other side of this cafeteria. You just walked out of the elevator. You now have to walk over this way and go through some vents to acquire your starting items. This is where the game really starts to pick up, because after the next 10 minutes, you have zero hand-holding throughout the rest of the game. Now, you finally escaped the cafeteria. This is where the survival craft aspect of this game really starts to show. You now need to craft a way to save this man that is locked behind a door. This is the last instance of hand-holding that you will really have throughout the entire game, because you cannot progress until you make a crafting bench and free this guy. Now, the game will never tell you specifically to harvest a certain item or to do a certain thing, unless you are right here. There are 2 broken computers, and they are labeled as broken, and saying that you can feel free to use them as spare parts. This is how you give a player direction without directly highlighting what they should do. It is absolutely genius. It was so subtle. On my first 2 playthroughs, I never saw it. I only noticed when I was editing the footage to send to my editor for this right here. Other than that though, this game does a very good job at rewarding the player for exploring the facility on their own. Everything that you will craft in this game and all of the progression you will make is only based off of what you do as a player. If you do not explore outside of your safety zone, you will then never progress. It will only hamper you if you only lock yourself into one specific spot. Now, look, if you are playing a multiplayer world and you just want to farm while all of your friends do all the cool stuff, you can feel free to do that. But if you're anything like me and you love the game BioShock, go check every corner and every alleyway in this entire game, and I bet you will be one of the strongest players at whatever point that you make it to. And let's talk about what you're going to do with the items that you find while exploring. Crafting in this game is done in a way that makes me extremely happy. Instead of you picking up a block of wood like you would in Minecraft and it popping up the little book up in the corner somewhere telling you, hey, you can now craft all of these 30 items, have fun. This game has a very unique twist on the crafting system. Every single time you pick up a new item around the world, your character... I need to drink more water, that's what that means. If your voice cracks too often, you don't drink enough water. When you pick up new resources in this game, your character is presented with an idea. You are in fact a scientist. When you are presented with a new idea, the game gives you a list of items that could theoretically craft whatever you were thinking of. So if you just take a minute and think, how would I make a shield out of a cafeteria lunch tray? You can most likely get every single crafting recipe in this game on your first go. That is something that I had way too much fun with. It's seriously just so much fun just trying to brainstorm the ideas and get these crafting recipes right just first try. Doing things such as memorizing crafting recipes comes with the minigame of crafting in general. But when you are later into your playthroughs and you want to do another world just to see how much different it can be if you use science to get around the map, you can then, in the sandbox settings, actually disable the crafting minigame. Guess what? Replayability for me went up tenfold. I made 4 new worlds when I found that out, and I have been loving every minute of playing this game over and over again. The art style in this game is heavily inspired by Half-Life 1, and it shows everywhere. Down to every little instance of the game, I am just sitting there thinking, God, this makes me happy. When you hack a monster into bits, your character gets covered in green slime, and the blood splatters look a lot like they would have in Half-Life 1. While I was going throughout the entire playthrough, I could not stop thinking that I was just some scientist that showed up the day of the Cascade, and for some reason, Gordon Freeman was just not there. That's the perfect way to do your game. It's so good. This was the perfect hook for a person like me. Somebody that got into PC gaming and really sunk their teeth in because of Source games. So when I see it just like this, like, you know, the world all over again, but in a whole nother light and just fit for you to explore every corner, God, I'd do it anything to do it all over again for the first time. Much like Half-Life, exploring the world is something that is almost necessary. If you take the time to really memorize the layout of the map and explore every corner that you will possibly find, you will not regret it. Early game, it might seem like a chore. Late game, it feels like you should have done that 3 years ago. Isn't that right, Brendan? What you say to me? That's a joke. My editor throughout the entire game kept on getting lost just because he had no sense of direction. So I will say, memorize as much of the game as you possibly can, and it only comes naturally after a while. This is a handcrafted piece of art, the way this map is laid out, and it shows. There are checkpoints throughout the entire world that loop back around to the very center of the game. Like nothing. Like it was almost unintentional. It felt so good going to a new zone and then randomly opening a locked door and being like, oh my god, we're home. It was countless times throughout the entire game that we did this. It was something that I don't think I could even put into words how it made me feel. Now, apart from crafting, the other thing to do in this game is obviously to survive. And survival in this game comes down to a very simple task. You have to do everything that a human would have to do throughout their daily routine. I am not kidding you. Jim over here needs to wash himself. He looks disgusting. That is something that you typically will have to do throughout the game. Keeping your character clean is a way to keep monsters from smelling you from a larger distance. That isn't even a joke. On top of that, throughout the day, your character will feel tired. You did just move an entire refrigerator to your base on your back. This means that it's time for a nap. Whether it be sitting on the floor, sitting on a couch, or laying in bed, throughout any of these activities, you will regain your rested status. But obviously, laying in your bed is the fastest way to get your rested status maxed out all over again. When you're doing certain chores that will take a long time if you just let them go, there are mini games to speed up the process. And that goes for things such as sleeping and pooping. So why don't you come here and have a seat, because you need to ease some passage. While pooping in this game, there are skill checks that will make it go a little bit faster. If you hit the smaller box, you will ease more than you will if you hit the larger box. This is the best way to make monotonous tasks in a video game actually fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed racing my friend trying to shit faster. There's nothing against just having a good time in this game. This game lets you have fun, and that's what we need nowadays. Now, you might ask where you would find food in a place like this. For that, let's leave the bathroom, because we don't shit where we eat. So let's say that you are getting hungry in Abiotic Factor. Well, it's really simple. Find a vending machine. But what happens when that money runs out? Well, now you need to get your green thumb ready, because you can make plots to then... I think I should sit no, I need to move over. You need to find things like soil, even water, and cultivate and create your own farms so that way you can live off the land itself. This turned out to be one of my favorite activities in the entire game. There were not many ways to actually just be upset while farming in this game, other than when we were on an adventure for too long and all of my crops died. And remember, if you've watched the video this far, please let me know if you think this couch is comfortable. Come join me. Also, feel free to like the video and share to all of your scientific friends if you think they might enjoy a game like this. Now, in the beginning, I did talk about an expansive story throughout this entire game, and you might have been thinking, Wibbs, where is the story? Because I don't see it. Well, if you look... What is that? This is my right, and this is my left. Looking this way, right would be this way, so... Now, during the game, there are very few times where the story is shoved into your face. At the very beginning in the cafeteria, and right after that in the office sector when you talk to the security guard. After that, the story is for you to discover. There is nothing that is just laid out like, hey, here's some dialogue for you, buddy, have fun. No, you don't have to deal with things like that. This game is laid out specifically for you to understand what is going on. Throughout your entire playthrough, you will run into these holographic figures known as Mance documents. This is Dr. Derek Mance. He is the head scientist in this entire facility who has documented everything that has gone on. This is where you learn the most about the enemies throughout the game. It is an extremely cool way that just lets you kind of figure out the scientific names of these animals and the real names and what their features are. How they really evolve and have changed over time from the beginning of these experiments. Other than that, there are two other ways to find story throughout this game. A really big one would be these email terminals that you can see over here on the right. There are just random computers that you can sign in, and you will get random emails throughout the game. They will give you detailed explanations of things happening elsewhere in the facility that are raising concerns among the scientific community. I won't go too deep into it, but I really did enjoy the email with the purple rat. That one was funny. Finally, the story will be handed to you through random NPCs that you find throughout the game. This is the precipice. These are the people living in the moment with you. You get to hear their story, and a lot of really just crazy people that work here. You guys need like a hobby or something. But like the one lady that you find in this game, she's just crazy. She wants to watch the world burn, and she will take all of the scientists with her. Awesome. It shows the amount of personality that the characters in this game actually have. It is beautiful. It makes me happy just to talk to them. When I find a new one, I'm like running over there to talk to them. And the game doesn't let you run out of, range of these NPCs. If you do walk too far away, it goes from them talking to you on the radio. That is a good way to not let me miss out on story, because as much as I want to pay attention, I have ADHD. Now look, one of my favorite things in a survival game is bunkering down for the night, and the base design in this game leaves nothing to the imagination. I have recently, on the subreddit and every other aspect of this game, seen people take the resources for building a base and completely break the game with it. Looking at the bases that the community itself can create makes the game just have so much more life, because I sent our base that my editor and I made throughout our entire playthrough into the game, and a lot of people were like, we never thought of setting up there. That's really cool. How was it? How hard was it? And they're asking questions, and we're going back and forth trying to explain. Don't put your base...
This is an official broadcast from the National Civil Defense Service. Your region has been exposed to a viral contaminant. Please remain in your homes or other secure location. If you encounter individuals showing symptoms of disorientation, reduced motor skills, diminished speech, or heightened aggression, avoid contact by any means available. Further updates to follow.
Yeah. Okay, well, I just finished up at work. It was like, how was it? I mean, it was awesome. I had a great time. I'm gonna need a ride home. The dude with the Jeep kind of like took off like 100 days ago, and what? How do you not know? I'll send you my location. You can come pick me up. You want me to wait till the summer update? Okay, I'll go back in, I guess. Whatever. I can make more money. That's not a problem. Okay, thanks, Mom. Bye.